Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411, part 16 of Lucky. We're in the 2000s now. So, and then he was gone for 15 years.
Yeah.
So I think we could possibly 22 episodes. Let's do 24 because that's my favorite number.
Okay.
Okay. We'll do 24. And we'll make 24 episodes if we don't.
All right. We could talk about your love of Lucky for 5-10 episodes.
Oh, JD was watching with me the other day and I was like, that's Lucky. He's like, the guy with the long hair? I was like, uh-huh. I was like, listen. I'm like, I have loved him since I was a teenager. All right. So where we left off last week is Luke told Laura that Lucky was alive and they have hit the road in search of their boy.
Yep.
So we pick up where they are at a bar talking to Raul, the man they sold the yacht to. They do find out that the yacht is somewhere in the Indian Ocean. Off they go in search of Lucky. Lucky and Helena play chess, a win for a question. Lucky loses the first round and he must tell Helena why he moved out of the house at such a young age. The second time around, he wins and he asks when he can return to Port Charles. Luke and Laura got to Reunion Island and boarded the Haunted Star, only to discover everyone left less than 2 hours ago, according to the log entry. I mean, for a villainous yacht, at least they kept good paperwork. They looked for clues. Who did they put in the log? Like, did Helena say Lucky and Helena?
Right.
Oh, okay. They looked for clues, but came up empty-handed at first. Oh, I wonder if it was like the captain was writing like port and stuff like that.
Maybe.
We put way too much real-world thought into this. Laura tells Luke that she thinks Helena has them on a wild goose chase looking for their dead son. Later, Laura discovers a handwritten map with directions to the boxcar in Port Charles. The writing is Lucky's. Just then, Stefan shows up and wants to talk to Laura. Luke held a gun on Stefan as Stefan said again he only wants to help them find Lucky. Stefan argued that they need his help since he is able to track Helena, and they refused to leave when his help was turned down. Luke aimed the gun at him and said the only way he could stop Stefan would be to shoot him, but that might upset Laura. She'd settle for slowing him down a little bit. Gun went off. No damage, and Luke locked Stefan in the closet. Luke proposed that he and Laura go over the yacht one more time and then leave. And all the while, Stefan was in the background calling Laura to let him out. Laura was unsure, but she agreed to leave with Luke. She came back alone a minute later, and Stefan talked to her through the door, reminding her of how he rescued her from the train tracks. He knows her pain. He loves her. How could she doubt him? Well, Laura wavered, and Luke arrived to ask whether she was just checking to see if Stefan was locked up tight or if she was about to make a big mistake. She explained that she didn't trust Stefan, but she didn't want to hurt him. She planned to call the authorities to let him out as soon as she and Luke were safely away. Luke replied that he hoped she had a cell phone as he was not going to stop to make any calls, and naturally, she had one. They left with Stefan still entreating Laura not to leave him there. Luke and Laura are at the airport and they find out that Helena has taken Lucky to Argentina. They do all they can to get there, and then there's this cute, humorous way about them. Luke is caught on board a private jet and almost taken into police custody when Laura jumps in to save the day. Helena tells Lucky about her beloved Miko's weather plan and how he hoped to revolutionize the world until Luke and Laura dashed all his dreams by killing him in cold blood. Lucky takes all this in. If you don't know the actual story about the Ice Princess, we did a 4-part series on it, and Luke actually tried to save him.
Yep.
Worth the listen.
At the diner, Tammy wondered why Elizabeth was working so frantically, and Elizabeth explained that she had to keep her mind off Lucky. Her nerves are frayed, and she can't stop thinking about him. It's hard for her to think positively. Tammy advised her to just remember the good times, be grateful for the time they had together, and not get ahead of herself wondering about his return. Mike entered with flowers, and Tammy left to change for their date. Mike sat down with Elizabeth and told her that life is full of surprises and advised her to hold on as love can come more than once. Liz went to put the flowers in water and agreed to lock up as Mike and Tammy happily left for their date. That was cute. I liked Mike dating.
Mm-hmm.
Felicia saw Andreas and Mrs. Lansbury meet on the docks. She hid and eavesdropped on their conversation. Andreas explained to Mrs. Lansbury that Helena wanted to know what Stefan was up to and admitted that she planned to lure Luke and Laura to the Ice Princess Island and trap them there. Mrs. Lansbury wanted no part of that and told Andreas that if Mrs. Cassadine wants to speak to her, she will have to contact her personally. She was
And
on her
Mrs.
way home.
Mrs. Lansbury was Stefan's housekeeper. So that's important to know because she's basically double crossing him right now.
Right. She was on her way home when Elizabeth came by. Elizabeth expressed all her fears about Lucky, and Felicia did her best to reassure her that it had indeed been Lucky she had seen. Felicia advised Elizabeth not to jump to conclusions about why the rescue was taking so long and told her to call if she needed to. Elizabeth went off to the studio to be alone. After trekking wearily through the jungle at Ice Princess Island, Luke and Laura decided to set up camp for the night. Over a fire and marshmallows, they reminisced, talked about the people they were and the people they are. Laura talked about still wanting at times to be that girl in the sarong. They talk about Robert a lot and smile and laugh. They hear a noise in the bushes. Luke attacks the person who springs out of them and wrestles her to the ground. Luke stops Laura from clubbing Felicia over the head. When she catches her breath, Felicia tells them that Helena is setting up a trap. Laura responds coolly, "Yes, we are prepared for that." Helena offers Lucky a chance to leave if he wins their chess match. He hesitates, asking whether they've seen everything they came to see. She says the room, the weather machine room, has lost its charm. He then asks if they leave, will they be going to Port Charles? Lucky is getting annoyed with Helena and her mind games and lets her know. He asks what she wants from him. Her answer, the pleasure of her company a little while longer. The pleasure of his company, I'm assuming, is what that was supposed to say.
I think so.
And then back at the campsite, Luke is trying to figure out exactly what Felicia heard. She said she couldn't stand by and let them walk into a trap. She says to consider her another pair of eyes and ears, but Luke and Laura are looking a little hesitant about the idea. She reminds them she's handy in a crisis, and Laura looks peeved at Luke as Luke vouches for her. Oh, a little jealousy going on there.
Yep. Luke heads down the path while Laura and Felicia both gesture after you. Felicia ends up going first. Lucky beats Helena at chess, and he asks why she enjoys watching him win so much. She says she likes to watch his creative mind at work. He is amused. His parents have creative minds. Helena's phone rings, and she tells Lucky it's time. Our trio of hikers are lost in the woods looking for an entrance. Oh, she didn't say that to him. That was us. Yeah. And then we see that Luke, Laura, and Felicia are lost in the woods, and they're looking for an entrance. Luke found a door, but it's sealed. Laura asked how they opened it last time. It was Robert's job. Felicia finds the code panel, and they are trying to guess the password. All sorts of names, Ice Princess, etc. It turns out that it's 10:23, Mikos and Helena's anniversary. They start to go through the door, and Felicia points out that someone should stand guard. Luke and Laura quickly decide it should be Felicia. Luke and Laura enter a large chamber. It's where Helena and Lucky were. She's certain that Lucky was in that room. She feels him. Laura wonders aloud why Helena has brought them there. He wants to look for clues. Meanwhile, Felicia is pacing outside and hears helicopters. Back inside, Luke and Laura realize there's nothing there. Felicia comes in and tells them she saw a helicopter and they all ran off. Luke wonders if the helicopter was a decoy. Felicia tries to make suggestions and Laura tries to tell her to stay out of it. Tearfully, Felicia says she can't go home without your baby. Her marriage depends on it. Luke quietly, geez, Felicia.
Right?
Their son. I think that they have a motive too. Like they might have like a little bit more of a motivation. Luke quietly suggests they accept Felicia's help. Laura goes out for some fresh air and the door closes and seals behind her. Back at Kelly's, Liz and Bobby get into some heavy-duty Lucky conjecture, after which Bobby heads out. Then we see Liz and Emily at L&B, and Liz is worrying about whether Lucky will still want her when he returns. Yes. Em assures her that nothing will change between them and that Lucky loves her. Em and Liz continue to talk about Juan and his singing. Em is feeling insecure about the female attention he will receive. Laura tried to release the door with no luck and was startled to hear a noise behind her. She hurried to hide behind a wall, only to find herself looking down the barrel of Stefan's gun. She told him what was happening and was ecstatic when he said he knew how to release the door. Her joy was abruptly disarmed when he refused to do so unless she left with him. When she refused, he left her. Laura was able to get in touch with the Coast Guard, but a storm was keeping them from being able to get to the island. Later, around a fire, she heard a noise. Thinking Stefan had returned, she was cautious, but was overjoyed to see Luke emerging for the brush. They hugged joyfully, while Felicia looked on, forlorn. They tried to rationalize where Helena would go next on the tour, and Laura realized it would be Texas, where Lucky was born. They set out immediately. In Texas, Laura recalls fond memories of Lucky as a baby during their years in Texas. There's no flashbacks because guess what? They weren't on.
We never
Actually,
saw that.
He was born. Luke and Laura weren't even married, weren't even a couple. But she just hears the voices of her family. She reminded Luke of their happiness then. She also shared her concern that they had yet to find any clues of Helena or Lucky having been there. Well, she didn't have to worry because Lucky was busy carving his name into a boulder where Luke had carved his and Laura's initials many years before. He also tossed a note into a bush, telling an observant Helena that he's just playing her game and leaving clues for his father. Near the show's end, Helena told Lucky that they had one more stop and then he'd be on his own. Laura's increasing anxiety over Lucky led to her verbally attacking Felicia for still being with her and Luke. She made it clear that Felicia's help was not needed. Felicia objected to Laura's dismissal and refused to leave, saying she had jeopardized too much before leaving. She had jeopardized too much to leave before Lucky was found. Laura, I want to remember what the heck Felicia was like so invested with this. Laura accused Felicia of using Lucky as an excuse to be with Luke and referred to a flea as my husband's new girlfriend and referred to flea
I think that says say Felicia.
Felicia jumped on that remark and vigorously pointed out that Laura seemed to use the term husband when she felt like it. She reminded her that Laura wasn't there to support Luke last year when Lucky died. Laura actually stated that she and Luke may or may not get back together. Luke then arrived to find the woman arguing. Felicia appealed to him to let her stay, to which he readily agreed over Laura's objections. Why does it continue to say flea?
Apparently they did not like Felicia's relationship with Luke.
So I'm going to say that is supposed to say Felicia, then went down to the picnic site where Lucky and Helena had visited earlier in the day. She found the fresh carvings of the name Lucky and then spotted a note in the bush. In her attempt to retrieve it, however, she ended up losing her footing and sliding down the side of a boulder. At the show's end, she is hanging by her fingertips to the boulder side, calling Luke for help. See, like, we don't do that anymore.
Right.
When was the last time we had a literal cliffhanger? Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Helena and Lucky are riding in the limo. Oh, it would have been no. Just answered my own question. She asks him what he's thinking, and he denies thinking anything. He states that with so many sites to visit and too quickly, he feels overstimulated to the point that the purpose of the trip is lost on him. I think something that we're missing from this point is that he was under her mind control. Like she was using the ice princess to control his mind. In case I don't find wherever that gap is that explains that. Helena doubts this and asks him to name his favorite spot. He tells her that it's Texas, which has nothing to do with her or the Cassadines or even his parents, but it's where he felt most at home. She hands him a large box with a picture of Elizabeth, and what she tells him are updates of his family and friends. He refuses to read it, opting to find out for himself. Over to the literal cliffhanger. Aw, look at how clever I am. With Felicia hanging on for dear life, we find Laura attempting to help her. Luke shows up just in time to help. Luke and Laura manage together to rescue Felicia, and they decide that Luke and Laura will go to Marrakesh, the next stop on the trip, while Felicia will jump ahead and go to Ireland. While asleep on the plane, Felicia places her hand on Luke's, much to Laura's dismay. Isn't Felicia trying to save her marriage at home?
Yes, which I think that that's what it was about. I think that Mac didn't want her going to help Luke because he knew that they had had a relationship, and she insisted that she was so important, she was needed. And so if she doesn't prove that she was needed, then it shows that she was just going because she has feelings for Luke.
Meanwhile, Helena tells Lucky that they are almost to their last stop. While Helena is on a phone call, Lucky notices that her purse is lying open on the table. He proceeds to take money out of it while she's not looking. Later on that evening, when she goes to bed, Lucky goes into his suitcase and pulls out a sock that he has stashed money and jewelry in. Dun dun dun.
Look at him being a good thief, even back
Mm-hmm.
then. Ha! So Luke and Laura are in Marrakesh, discouraged over the lack of success in tracking Lucky. Laura suggested that Helena underestimated the power of us and that maybe they had to, but before Luke could comment, the phone rang and it was Felicia calling from Ireland. He told her to stay there for a while and promised to be in touch. But when he hung up, Laura's tone was cold as she asked, "Where do we look next? Or do we have to wait for Felicia?" Luke was not interested in discussing the Felicia situation, but Laura pressed, insisting, "This is our trip, not Felicia's, and I don't see how she's helping us." Later they made up and agreed that they didn't want to fight. Laura admitted that she missed Luke and started to cry as he held her. They shared memories of Ireland and Marrakesh and agreed that they missed that feeling that they could do anything together. They agreed sadly that they couldn't go back, and they weren't now the same people they had been. They talked about how exciting it had been to be all over the globe, but remembered also the fear and running away in the night. Luke had something he needed to tell Laura. The happiest he'd been in his whole life was when he'd been with her, and she tearfully agreed, tenderly stroking his face until, again, the phone rang. Felicia, of course. She asked Luke where they'd lived the longest, and he relayed the question to Laura, who suddenly realized that the real question was where they'd been the happiest, the Triple L Diner in Vancouver. Luke excitedly instructed Felicia to hop on a plane and meet them in British Columbia. This was enough for Laura, who turned and stomped off to the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. Come on, Luke, what are you doing?
I know.
Helena and Lucky had already arrived at the Triple L and ordered breakfast. Lucky was anxious to be off to Port Charles, but Helena explained that this was their last stop together and suggested they take a walk around town to see where he used to live. After the walking tour, they went back to the diner where Helena commented that the stability of living there must have been a relief for young Lucky after all the travel. She said that she appreciated his company on the tour, but guessed that he was anxious to leave and handed him $500. He questioned her, and she told him to add it to the amount he'd appropriated from her already, then added that he could keep the jewelry too. He was suitably abashed. Helena then said he was clever and independent, qualities that would stand him in good stead. She told him he was then on his own and announced that she was leaving. Lucky was confused and said he thought they were going to Port Charles, but Helena pointed out that Port Charles would still be there, although she suggested he might want to wait for his parents to arrive in Vancouver before moving on. She commented, "It's all up to you," and left the diner, leaving Lucky on his own. Lucky's at the Triple L Diner and talking to the waitress. He orders breakfast. Helena is looking on from outside as Lucky tells the waitress he is there to meet his parents. After the waitress serves him breakfast, she begins messing with the register. It is stuck. Lucky tells her what to do to unstick it. She wants to know how he knows that. He tells her his parents owned the place and that his father bought the register secondhand. He also tells her that he is one of the L's in the Triple L. The waitress introduces herself to Lucky and tells him her name is Katie. Helena is still looking on from outside and walks away. As Lucky and Katie get better acquainted, Lucky spots Stefan outside the diner and asks Katie to hide him. She hides him behind the counter when Stefan comes in and asks about a boy fitting Lucky's description. She lies and tells him she hasn't seen him. Stefan leaves and Katie tells Lucky the coast is clear. He won't explain why Stefan is after him, but tells her that he didn't do anything illegal. As Lucky looks out the window, Katie wants to know why someone is after him. She tells him that she would help him. Although they hardly know each other, she feels like she can trust him and would help. He says that he would do the same. He says he wishes he could thank her. The movies would be nice. He tells her he can't believe he won't be there long. She says she will take a rain check for when he comes back to town. Katie better watch out. Liz is going to come after her.
Yep.
Moving in on her man. Liz is at Kelly's as Emily walks in. Em wants to know why Liz seems so freaked. Liz explains that every time the door opens, she thinks it might be Lucky walking in. He has been a prisoner for a year, and Liz wonders if they have changed him. What if they aren't connected anymore? Em reassures her pal that the minute Lucky walks in and sees her, they will both remember how much in love they are. Liz and Emily continue to discuss the future when Lucky comes home. Emily says they will all have to hang out and how much fun they will have. She hopes that Lucky will like Juan. They comment on how much the two guys have in common. Just then, Juan walks up and tells Emily that he won't cut a demo until he is 50 at the rate he is going. Juan explains to Em and Liz that money is a real obstacle. And then we see Helena is on her jet preparing to leave. She calls to Andreas to bring her the champagne and tell the pilot she is ready to leave. Stefan comes up behind her and starts to choke her. He wants to know why she is celebrating and what does it have to do with Lucky Spencer.
What's going to happen?
I don't know. I hope Lucky's okay.
I know. So yeah, join us on Monday as we recap this week's shows.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do? My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.